Hey, everybody, welcome to the Free at Last podcast. I'm Mick,
And I'm
and
Tammy.
we're coming to you live from the Appalachian Mountains right here in the home of Eastern Kentucky. We're very excited about tonight's podcast. We have a very special guest. I met this brother on the great world of TikTok and heard a little bit of his story, and I jumped out of the boat and stepped out in faith and sent him a message request to see if he would be interested in telling his testimony on here. And his testimony is going to be powerful because um, when we was in our cult church, this was one of the groups that was uh, that our leadership influenced us to try to imitate and try to strive to be like. And so we are very excited to have Brother Rod Diaz.
Hey, Brother Rod.
Hello, thanks for having me. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So, Brother Rod, if you would like to, before we get into everything that happened at the ramp, tell us what was life like before that. Was you already a Christian, or how did you come to faith?
Before I went to the ramp, I was an atheist, and yeah, and that's a whole nother story. But I had an experience with God, with Jesus in my room, and so I gave my life to Jesus, and I was 18, and I didn't know what to do, and I just started looking up God stuff, on the computer and YouTube, and I that's how I ended up at the ramp. I saw Damon Thompson. I don't know if you're familiar with him,
Oh yeah,
but
Yeah. hmm
yeah, but I saw him preaching at the ramp, and that's the whole reason I moved there.
Wow.
wow,
Um, yeah,
wow, that's awesome. That even wow, that God can get an atheist to a Christian school. It's awesome.
Well, yeah, and at that time, the school had not started there at the ramp. So, you were going on faith by, moving almost across country to go there.
yeah, absolutely. They had an internship at the time,
hmm
but it wasn't a school yet, and had no idea that they were gonna have a school. I just went because I didn't know anything about God. I was an atheist, so I didn't know, and I wanted to learn. And I just thought I was going to a church with a guy who seemed like I loved what he was saying when he preached, and I liked the way he looked because he didn't look like, he didn't have a suit and a tie, which is what I thought Christians look like.
Yeah,
And so I that's why I went there. I thought I was just gonna sit on and go to church there, but then it turned out there was a school.
yeah,
Yeah, and you probably, at that time, you felt like you were on your path to finding your faith and to go deeper into it. And what do you think when you first got there? Probably what was your biggest like your wow, this is it. This is where I'm supposed to be.
I have arrived.
Well, I I don't think I ever felt that way. I don't think I ever felt like, wow, this place is amazing. As soon as I got there, I had a bad experience uh, with sort of racist remarks,
Mhm.
and so I was like, well, I don't know if I made the right choice, but I'm here, and there's no way I can get back home now. So I
Oh,
just
Wow.
immersed myself in it because I was like, well, I guess this is what we're doing now, and I did, and I just went for it.
And were these remarks from what you knew as the church people, or was it like the community?
The racism was very prevalent in the church at the ramp itself, but the remarks were from Samuel Bentley's dad. He was a judge there in the county, and yeah, he basically, yeah, he made really racist remarks towards me and my brother because I moved there with my brother,
Mhm.
and so and it was during a men's meeting at the church, our first ever thing that we went. for the Ramp Church, and that's he said these really crazy racist things to us, and everybody just stood around and was just like it was normal.
Wow.
Wow, that's crazy. Wow. So yeah, my mind went blank. That doesn't surprise me though.
Yeah,
Um,
because in the South, I mean, what the ramp is in Alabama,
Yes.
and with the racial tensions and everything of times past, that to me is very surprising that even the church community would have
in
been
modern times.
in modern times, yeah, been so racist in giving their thoughts, especially at a men's meeting, where you're supposed to uplift and encourage your brothers.
Yeah.
So, how long would you say it was um, when you started seeing like the red flags?
Well, maybe about like 2 years living there.
Mhm.
Um, Damon Thompson left. He got kicked out, and that was the first red flag for me because Damon, and specifically Damon Thompson's dad, had been so good to me and my brother, and they were it was the main reason why we were able to even survive there because such a small town, we didn't have jobs, and
Mhm.
so they really took care of us the best that they could. Obviously, we were still really hungry and starving, but I just saw specifically his dad is such an amazing person, very loving person, and so seeing them and the whole family get kicked out just overnight from one day to the other was the first red flag where I was like, okay, well,
So
this
Wow.
is
Yeah.
that's to me that's cool that you had like access to like one of the what what I always thought was like one of the top leaders there. So like I thought it would be like they were like the kind that everybody was like nobody talks to because they don't have time for us. And so what did you actually get to meet like Karen Wheaton?
yeah, yes. I met Karen and I did work on her property, and I've had engagements with her, and she's been super rude to me, and but I've had a lot of engagements with her, and the thing about Damon is Damon isn't really, well, at least he wasn't when I knew him. He wasn't really like that, where he's like, or maybe it was honestly, maybe it's because I used to be an atheist. Me and
Yeah.
my brother, we both used to be atheists, so we had no idea that these people were untouchables, and so we would just go and talk to him because he was the preacher guy, and
Well,
he really liked us.
and
We would
you never
make
know too.
jokes.
You never know too, because like where you guys were just freshly born again, they might have thought, well, we better turn it on extra heavy with these guys because they got really good discernment.
Maybe, but after Damon left, when they did the school, it was definitely like that. It was definitely like there was another guy there. His name's Casey Doss, and he became like the head of the school. And he was, I used to see him. We would go in and we would watch games, like basketball games, with him and the other guys, and he was cool. We would crack jokes, but after the school started, he was like, "Okay, we're not friends. We're never gonna be friends. You can't talk to me. You can't come to my house. You can't. We don't know each other. Basically, like there has to be this separation between us because I'm the leader."
Wow,
Wow.
that's crazy.
And they made rules. They for the students. They told the students like, if you know where a teacher lives, don't ever go to their house. You're not allowed. You can't. You're not allowed. You can only address them in this certain way, and so it was very like that.
Wow.
So one of the things I wanted to ask, like I've heard other people talk about, like as far as the dance and drama team, I've heard stories like where some people would want to be on that team, and kind of like what they would do is they would give you like little rules that you would have to follow, and if you followed the rules, that you would have a chance to get on the drama team. But I think back then it was called the Chosen. I don't know if it still is, but what they would say was it's like you would get so close to meeting whatever that quota was, and then like the goalpost would change. Did you
Yeah,
experience anything like that?
yeah, definitely. No, I never wanted to be on the dance team because I can't dance, and I'm not that kind of person, and so I never experienced that. But I did see a lot of that where it was basically like a little carrot they would hold over people and say,
Yeah.
if you do this or if you act this way, and they had a certain look that they wanted, and so you had to look like that. And so I didn't have that look, I think, because I'm brown, first of all. And so it was really more about marketing, and so they would pick whoever they thought was the best looking people and put those people on stage because they thought that they would draw more attention and get more marketing, get more views on YouTube, and sell more t-shirts. Like all the best looking people, they'd give them free t-shirts so that other people would buy the shirts. But I did see a lot of that where a lot of people went there because they wanted to be part of chosen, and
Mhm.
they
Yeah.
were just treated like maybe one day if you do all this stuff, and it just never happened.
Wow.
Yeah, we was telling Brother Rod earlier. It's like our pastor at the time brought in a bunch of VHS tapes and said, "Study these tapes, boys."
Yeah, get them down exactly like they do them, and we're going to perform them. And that anointing that this team has is going to be flowing from you guys. And yeah, and it's like that. It was like you had to perfect. Our leaders were looking for perfection, and there couldn't be any like mishaps or, I mean, and it's like we were programmed to believe that that's what the anointing was.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
which one would you say um, between you and your brother? Like, did he make it out too?
Um, my brother got married. He married someone there because they push marriage on you. They
Yeah.
want you to marry somebody from there.
Okay.
Um, and I think it's multiple reasons. One, they want more cult members, and so they want you to reproduce. And then the second is that they don't want you to meet somebody who's not in the cult because then they ask questions and they
Right.
Yeah.
might persuade you like, hey, this isn't cool. Like, what do you mean this is
Yeah.
happening there? Like, you should leave. And so they would really, really push that on you. So my brother got married there, and he left, but way after me.
Did his
'Cause
wife
I,
leave as well?
Yeah, yeah. His wife left also with him. They
Yeah.
didn't leave. They always loved the ramp.
Mhm.
They moved away, uh, back to California because that's where we're from. But they always loved it. They always loved the ramp.
yeah, I guess my question was going to be like, which one of you guys like saw like like there's something not right here. But if he loved it, then he probably never seen the red flags.
Yeah, well, I personally, I saw the red flags, like the way they treated Damon, the way they treated other people, but I just thought like, I guess this is Christianity because I didn't really know anything else,
Yeah.
and so I didn't really put two and two together until maybe 2020 ish, and then when I really started to go on this deconstruction journey,
Mhm.
and then reconstructing, and so my brother, though, he passed away, uh 2021, 2020, around there.
Oh,
Um
So
and
sorry.
sorry.
so yeah, and so
That-
he never, you know, he never had that moment to share with me, so
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
What were some of the other ministries that took place there? Like, how did they operate like on a daily basis?
So basically there was a school. So the Ramp School of Ministry was sort of what it was called when I went there. Now it's called Ramp University.
Mhm.
That was the main thing because they want to use, in my opinion, and this just all alleged, in my opinion, it was all a money grab, and they made the school to make money off of students, tuition, and
Yeah.
then forcing the students to work for them for free. It was all
Mhm.
just a money grab, and so everything is really geared towards the school. But then they also had, when I was there, they had a food distribution, a food bank for people in need,
Mhm.
and so we worked that a lot. and then obviously the conferences that they do, where lots of thousands of people come on this little town, and those they're a big, huge production. Like the stage gets made in a certain way, and there's all this stuff that goes into that, and so all the students would go and they would prep for these conferences, and then of course they have other conferences where you go um, to different arenas, I guess, bigger venues, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
then all the students, we had to take all the stuff like stages
Mhm.
and cameras and all this stuff and set it up there. These big, huge productions, and yeah, that's really mostly what they do is just make these big, huge productions and ask people for money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, during this time, were you provided with housing and food, or like, was it a struggle for you as a student? Because obviously, you probably didn't get paid, right, for
Yeah, so
your internship.
no, so I was there from before there was a school, right? So before there was a school, you would volunteer, and when Damon was there, he would pay us for doing the we would do the food distribution place.
Uh huh.
And so my brother and I were the only ones that would work that because people saw it as something that wasn't desirable to do, I guess. And
Wow.
Yeah.
so Damon was paying the chosen kids to do it,
Wow.
but they would never show up. So Damon went there one day and they weren't there, and me and my brother were there, and so he said, "Okay, I'm done paying them, and I'm going to pay you instead." And so he paid us, but then he got kicked out, like a months later, maybe 6 months later, and so then we didn't have jobs because again, Alabama's very racist, unfortunately, and there's just not a lot of jobs. It's a super small town,
Yeah.
and most of the people they keep the jobs for people they know. That's how small towns work, and so we really struggled. We were really starving. Um, After Damon left, also the food bank when they started the school, one of the rules was that students cannot get food from the food bank. And so we worked there, we passed out food to people, but we ourselves couldn't take any food from there. And so we were starving, and the only food that we could take was food that they were going to throw away.
Wow.
Wow.
So that's the food we survived on, the expired food. One
Yeah.
time there was a pallet that came in with rat feces and pee all over it. And we took that food home because we ate that food because there was nothing else that we could do. We were starving.
Wow.
So nothing was provided, no housing was provided. My parents were nice enough to pay for our apartment,
Wow.
which was
Yeah.
very cheap. Being from California, the rent there was extremely cheap, and so my parents gave us only enough money for the rent,
Mhm.
and we of course we're not people. I'm not the kind of person that asks for
Mhm.
help, and so I didn't tell my parents anything, and so yeah, it was a real big struggle. And the people who know me from that time, they know that I was struggling really bad.
Wow.
So what was the straw that broke the camel's back, so to say? What was your I'm not taking it anymore moment?
Uh, I I so going through my journey in life, I just started to think that what they taught there just wasn't biblical,
Yeah.
and I've never been a person that's very good under all the rules and all the laws, and so I've always been very outspoken.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
just and I also don't like when people get mistreated. I always have to
Yeah.
say something. I feel like I have to say something.
Yeah.
So I've always been like that, but I I started in 2020 when I was deconstructing. I was like, wow, like none of this stuff makes sense. And then in 2024, the alumni started coming out and saying and sharing their abuse stories. There was a lot of SA stories,
Wow.
and I was an SA, obviously, so I wasn't sharing that. I was just giving them the opportunity to take the spotlight and share, and I was, just sharing what they were sharing, but I
Mhm.
also shared my own testimony on Facebook about the place and just when I heard the stories of my friends, people who I knew who were SA'd,
Mhm.
that's when I was like, wow, like this place is worse than what I thought. Like the
Yeah.
Yeah.
racism that I experienced, the neglect, the when they, Karen screamed at me because I did something wrong. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Like these people really experienced something way worse, way more traumatic. And so I was like, I'm done with this place, obviously, because I can't stand for by and and support a place like that.
Yeah.
Before I was like, okay, I have grievances myself, my own personal experience, theology, but now it's like, okay, this is way worse than I ever thought it was. And then in 2026, when the allegations came out about Samuel Bentley confessing that he had two children at least,
Wow.
then I was like, wow, this is gross. And I started just posting about it on TikTok. And that's how I started the TikTok journey.
Wow. I remember this has been like a while back before. I can't remember if it was after we left our church, but I remember seeing a video on YouTube where, and you might have been there. I can't remember, but Perry Stone was actually talking to the chosen crowd, and and it's like when I heard him say it, like the shock value, like I knew something was off with everything, with him and the ramp and everything. But what he told the chosen group said if they was going to go far and I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember exactly, but he told everybody if they were going to go far in ministry that they were going to have to learn how to keep secrets. And like when he said that, I'm like, oh my god.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's like, and I'm like sitting there thinking, how is everybody like not thinking red flag?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually there during that service.
Wow.
And that was because of the whole Damon Thompson thing,
Yeah.
because Damon Thompson got kicked out and they wanted to keep that under wraps and make sure that they could control people and what they were sharing with each other. And yeah, that should have been a huge red flag. But the thing is that
Yeah.
the culture of that place is like that. And
Mhm.
so you just think like, this is normal. This is what we do, you know? And so I I remember there was also another service like immediately after Damon got kicked out where we had to go up and pledge our allegiance to Karen. They set her in on the stage in a chair and we had to walk up and say, "I believe your side of the story. I'm behind you 100%."
Wow.
Oh
And,
gosh. Wow.
like yeah, to her face. And I did that. I had a friend, my best friend at the school, and he didn't do it. He couldn't bring himself to do that, and a lot of people left during that time, and they were all telling me like, "You need to leave and you need to go," but I didn't have money. I had nowhere to go. Where could I go? So I was just stuck there, and I had to make the best of being there, and so yeah, huge red flag. But at the time, I'm just a young guy. I have no other option. I'm just like, this
Yeah.
is my community. I wouldn't even know where to go.
I mean, I'm no psychologist or anything, but just to think about the mind frame somebody has to be in to have other people come up and say, "Oh, I believe you," that's crazy.
So if you didn't pledge allegiance to her, did they get rid of those people or did they ask them to leave? Or, how did they get, how did like they know to leave or was it hard to get out type thing?
During that, when they said that you had to come up and do that in that service, like half the people left.
Okay.
All the Damon has like this way of like bringing men, like family men, strong men, to his ministry, and so there was a lot of that there at the ramp. Those
Wow.
guys, they all got up and left. They said, "Okay, family, get your stuff. We're leaving. We're done with this.
Yeah.
This is a cult."
Yeah.
They all walked out, but the students didn't have that kind of support. They were just there, and they had already paid, and they had told their parents like, "I'm here for a school," and most of them are people who their parents told them, "Don't go there. That place is bad. Like you're wasting your life. You need to go to college and get an education, get a degree that actually matters." And so, what do? You're gonna go back to your parents and say, "Hey, you were right, and I totally messed up, and it's a cult." So a lot of the students stayed, and they just did it. They did it because they felt like they had to. And those people that didn't do it, they left. Even my best friend, who didn't do it, he ended up leaving.
Yeah.
Wow. So the school itself was like, is it actually accredited like with the state? Like
No.
it's what I was wondering.
Yeah, so when I was there, it's called RSM, Ramp School of Ministry, and they promised us that it would be accredited, and that when they got it accredited, those credits would they would do a backlog, which I don't even think is real. Like I don't even think that even happens, but
Yeah.
that's what they told us. They would backlog it so that we would get the accreditation also. And then they changed the name to Ramp University to make it seem more legit. And they kept saying it's going to be accredited, it's going to be, and it never happened. To this day, it's not accredited. They say that there's one or two credits that you can transfer to Oral Roberts University, but it's not true. Um, so, yeah, no, they're not accredited.
So like I'm wondering because there's a couple other churches of cults that I've been looking into too, and I was kind of wondering if it was kind of the same there, but the other one that I've been watching, it's like they talk like all of the politicians and everything are like on the side of the cult. Because like to me that sounds like very illegal, like what they're doing, like arrestable.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, it's crazy. But so after you got out, what was it like? We talked a little bit about your deconstruction process. What was it that helped you decide that you're not giving up on your relationship with the Lord?
Well, when I got out, I was really struggling with my faith to the point where I told God, okay, so just to backtrack, I used to be an atheist. I had an encounter with Jesus in my room, right? There wasn't a preacher there or anything. I just had an encounter with Jesus in my room.
Yeah,
So I knew Jesus was real because I had this encounter. So when I got out of the ramp, I just prayed and I told God, I said, look, I know that you're real, but I don't know if I believe in the Bible. I don't know if the Bible's real because of all these things they taught me at the ramp. If that's truly what the Bible says, I'm not sure I believe it.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because when you get out, all of a sudden the stuff doesn't work. Like all the things that they told you that worked while you were there, where they could control the narrative.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
But but then when you leave, you're like, okay, this none of this even makes sense. You tell other people, you go to a different church and you tell people what you were taught, and they're just like, wow, that's really out there. That's not even what the Bible says. So you're just like, you know.
Yeah.
So then I told God, I said, I need to know if the Bible's real. If you want me to believe in the Bible, you need to show me that it's real. And so what I did was I read, the Gospels and the book of Acts. In the Gospels, Jesus sends out the disciples two by two, and he tells them, take no money bag with you and stay, with whoever gives you a place to stay. And so I did that. I went across America. I said, God, if this book is real, I want to see it. I want to see it on the street where nobody is manipulating it. There's no fog machines, there's
yeah,
no music playing, nothing. I want to see it out there. And so I went across America with two rules. The first rule was you can't take any money with you. The second rule was you can't ask anybody for anything. And so I didn't raise support. I didn't ask anybody to give me a place to stay. I just went and I read the Bible and I said, okay, let's do it. And so I went with another guy and I went across America, and that saved my faith because I saw it on the streets. I
Yeah.
saw
Mm.
I saw miracles. I saw atheists get healed
yeah.
and on the street, and I saw God provide for me every single night, a place to stay, food to eat. And it took me 7 months to get across America. I started in Detroit, Michigan, and I ended in California. and that saved my faith. I was hooked on Jesus and hooked on the Bible
Yeah.
after that because I was like, wow, this is real.
Amen.
Did you drive? Like, or
No,
Wow.
wow.
no, I took this guitar back here
Uh-huh.
and my Bible and one change of clothes. No car, no anything. I just went.
Wow.
Well, brother Rod, we're going to have to wrap it up for this
Okay.
episode. Can you do a part two tonight?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right.
So everybody, stay tuned. We will relaunch.
Yeah. Part 2.